Hello guys, Mark here. This video I will explain the junior driven secondary. This is for the junior dragsters. I've assembled this without a spring so I can explain some of the key features about this little gizmo here. First off, we have 6 rollers. You see we have a Helix, and this Helix has 2 sides to it. Okay, they're parallel to each other. One side of the Helix, well, let's say one roller is for upshifting, the other roller is for backshifting. This driven uses 2 separate rollers, not one roller for doing both purposes, but 2 separate rollers. Nice smooth design. The key feature here for the other opposite side roller is during a backshift is, like, say for instance, if these shifts are open, the belt's halfway down this driven, you get on the brakes. If we don't have this roller right here on this side, it'll just spread apart and the belt will suck down to the bottom. Okay. In this type of design, you hit the brakes, force goes against that roller on this Helix, slams the driven shut. Okay, keeps your belt up, puts it back up on top in a lower ratio. You can get out of the gas, get back on the gas, and the motor's right back up on the pipe. This Helix is the whole body of the movable. It is attached to the movable on the back by 6 socket head cap screws. So you can see there are no posts involved here. This Helix is made it into a precision machine counterbore down here. Okay, so everything is kept concentric. There's no way a post can bend and this thing can start wobbling on you. Okay, Helixes are interchangeable. We do provide different Helixes. We'll even cut custom Helixes. We can even make dual stage Helixes. Dual stage Helixes, in this particular setup with such a narrow belt, we're only moving approximately 3/4 of an inch, 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch in total shift. A dual stage, if you look at how far that roller's moving, really isn't going to make a whole bit of difference. But doesn't mean we can't make them for you. Another key feature here is, see how far we got up the top of that Helix? The secondary is going to be capable of running wider belts if you guys in the future decide to go that route. Has all replacement parts. Bushings are replaceable. We have them here. There's one on this side. Of course, you have to access it from the opposite side when you take the driven apart. Rollers are replaceable. They basically pull the screw out, pop the pin out, pull the roller out. And that's pretty much it. Pretty simple design, very efficient. Okay, another cool feature for this little guy is this nut. This is for belt adjustment, or your belt deflection. Okay, there's no need to take this apart and put shims in it to set your belt deflection. Okay, this little guy here, this nut, rests right up on top of that cover, and you turn that in. As you turn that in, watch the shivs. See how the shivs spread apart? That's how you adjust your belt deflection. Okay, you can do it right on your car. You can do this right before the starting line. Take you 2 minutes. Once you get your desired adjustment, tighten the socket head cap screw. It's not going anywhere. So pretty slick little deal there. We also use that to install Helixes. We'll show you that here a little bit later in this video. Okay, now let's move on into spring installation. Okay, I'm going to pull these 3 button heads out of the top of the cover here. Remove the cover. It fits down. There's a precision fit between this Helix and this cover. Okay, keeps everything nice and concentric because you got a bushing here that guides this Helix assembly up and down on the shaft. Okay, first off, we can run a torsion spring, or we can run a compression spring. Okay, let me explain how this works. The torsion spring, we have 2 little plastic cups that insert on the end of the spring. And the tang goes through that little slot. Okay, of course, it slides over the top of the post, and you want to line that slot and that little piece of tang sticking out in that hole. the very base, you'll see that in your unit. Same thing for the top. You have the same cap, of course, with a tang spot for the tang to hang out of. You line that tang up with one of these holes on the cover here. And now this is going to be determined by, you know, how much spring pressure you want. You know, so these are tricky to put on, but, you know, the simplest way I see is you take a roll of tape, you know, put the cover, put the whole assembly over the roll of tape, because that gives you room for the post on the very back side to go through. And lean on this baby, twist it, line up the holes, and put the screws in, okay? Sometimes it's a two-man job. I'm not going to waste any time here putting the screws in and showing you how I bust my knuckles, but okay, that's the torsional spring, okay? Works good, hard to install. Now, get this bushing off of here. Remove the bushing out of this driven. Now we got the compression spring. This is my choice, my favorite choice. And the reason for this is because it's a lot easier to install. Drop it in there, push it down, line up the holes, put the screws in it, and you're done. Now, if I want to increase tension on that spring, we provide you with these spacers. Okay, these are 60 thousandths thickness each. There's a total of 1, 2, 4, 6 of these, which equivalent to 3/8 of an inch. Okay, we can increase. This is a 75-pound rate spring. This is what most units are going to come with. This is going to cover pretty much most cars that are out there in the field today. We do have a heavier spring, but it's going to require some more horsepower. But they are available. Now I can take the 75-pound rate spring up to 100-pound rate spring by adding these shims. I just drop those underneath there, put the spring down on top, of course, push down here. Of course, that's going to be a man's job. You know, locate your cover, push it down, and install the 3 screws. Okay, like I said, I'm going to try and save time in this video, so I won't do that right now. This is just for illustration to explain how this works. Very simple. We use this in a lot of the snowmobile applications and ATVs. Actually, this is the same diameter spring that fits in the primary. And some primary springs will work in this as well. But I don't believe you're ever going to need that much spring rate. Okay, now we're going to cover helix removal from the Junior Tuner secondary. Pretty simple procedure. The best way to do this is with the aid of this belt adjuster nut. Just for reference, make sure you always have that plastic washer under the nut. That way you don't gall up the pretty little cover we have, a spring cover. Alright, we're going to collapse this thing. You have to collapse it somewhat in order to take the tension off this movable shiv, okay, because we're going to remove that. The best way to do that is to collapse this unit. Just press down table and screw that nut down. So we've collapsed it, okay? Now, of course, you know, there's a spring installed in here, and I've got tension on this whole thing. Now you flip it over, and we remove these socketed cap screws. And I'll do this really quick. Speed this video along. Don't want to hear any yawning out there. There's one screw, 2, 3, 4, and it doesn't matter. You can untighten them in any sequence you want because there's no pressure on this movable shiv at all at this point. Okay. And you just remove it. You just slide that right off. There's your helix. Okay. In order to install this, you have to collapse this driven somehow, somewhat, to push this helix through the backside of the fixed sheet. Now, if I want to remove the helix, I press down, remove that nut, and then she comes apart. I just pull her on out of there. Okay, now I can pull my spring out. And then I just remove the cover, and there's our helix. That's the removal of the helix. Now to reinstall the helix is basically the same setup. Okay, put your spring back inside, drop the helix on there, compress it, put the nut on it. Whoop, see, I forgot the whitewash it. I'll scratch it up for sure. Compress it. Just so we got enough helix hanging out the back side. Drop movable shiv on. Line the holes up. Where are they? There they go. Line your holes up and install the screws. Make sure you tighten them all up. And that's the end of it. It's all put together. Okay, that's helix removal and installation 101. Okay, that covers it in this video. I hope it explains some things, help you guys out.